Hey guys, what's up? It's Neonta Williams with the Advocates Chair on behalf of Black Alabamians for Education. I am so excited to be back here today with our legislative talk discussion. Well, before I get to the man of the hour, you all already know who he is. Let me shout out. First of all, we are in my hometown of Gadsden, Alabama. Yay! Y'all clap. Hey, okay. And guess what? We have an audience today. Yay! But really want to say thank you to Mr. Wayne Rowe of Wayne Rowe Sr. Let me get that right. Of This Is It #1 Barbecue, Fish, and More. I hope I got that right. If I didn't, we'll get it right the next time. So excited to be here for that reason, to be right here in the city of my hometown, but also to be right here with State Representative Ontario Tillman from Big Belma, District 56. Yes. Listen, so much, you know what? I'm just going to start out like this, Doc. What the hell?
I know.
Like,
we need to get some of these reels first, though.
Okay, we gonna get some of those reels. We're gonna get some of the reels. But listen, I'm all for the size. So he looking like some ribs. What? How much? That's all right. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. We don't get the ribs today. We definitely gonna make it happen. So listen, you know, it's always exciting to be with you. Thank you for your service this past session. This is an election year. Like, there's so much going on in the state of Alabama. Yes. This is an election year. The entire state legislature, the entire state senate is up for re-election. The governor is up for re-election. Almost every seat in the state of Alabama. So we had primary elections on May 19th. Mm-hmm. And then a week or two later, we went right into a special session because of a Calais case in, not Calais, but Calais case in Louisiana. So listen, I need you to help us out.
Okay, well, we had our special right before the primaries. Okay. Right. And everything pretty much was based upon the Louisiana versus Calais ruling. So if you notice, a ton of states in the South particularly, they started having special sessions. Some were still in session, but they were more focused on redistricting. So pretty much gerrymandering. So
Facts.
That's really what...
Hold on, you can't go past that real fast. What is the difference between redistricting and gerrymandering?
Okay, well, redistricting is what legally we're supposed to do at the end of 10 years based upon the demographics of the census.
Okay.
So that's what we are supposed to do.
Okay.
Gerrymandering is when you intentionally doing something for political advantage. So that's the difference in the two.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure our listening audience understands
that.
Yes. And you said every 10 years for the census. So when you say census, we're talking about the census count that happens every 10 years.
Yes.
Whereby the government is literally counting every living human being in every single household, because based upon the census count, aside from districting the right way or redistricting the correct way, there's also federal funds that are appropriated based upon the number of residents that live in a certain city, community, or district.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is, because if you really look at our cases, when you look at the Allen versus Milligan case, I know we kind of get ahead of it, but with that case, the courts told us in 2030, it's okay to go back to the drawing board to do the redistricting at that particular point.
Okay.
But of course, everything was kind of rushed through based upon the Louisiana versus Calais case.
Okay. And so with that Louisiana Calais case and then the impact that it had on Alabama, we had 7 congressional districts. In 2023, a new map was drawn that said, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, that Alabama should have 7 congressional districts.
Yeah, well, we already had 7. Okay. What the new map in the when we had the 2023 session, right? The new map was designed to create another, what we call majority to minority district.
Okay.
Opportunity for the Black voters in that particular district to have a candidate of their choice.
And that district was the Mobile area,
yes,
correct?
That was District 2, which was Congressman Figures.
Correct.
He's the person that currently has that seat.
Okay. And then everything went haywire.
Yes.
You all got called back into a special session, and then what had happened was?
Well, everything really just stemmed from the Louisiana versus Calais case. When you changed the standards when it came to proving intentional discrimination on voting rights. So by that ruling coming down, it changed everything. So we had quick special session. We also had different motions filed because we, at the time, Alabama, we were under an injunction. So We were under court drawn maps.
Okay.
Right. That's the map that we used in the 2024 election.
Okay.
All right. So the courts in the Allen versus Milligan ruling told us at the end of 2030, which would have been 10 years, we can go back and address the redrawing of the maps at that particular point. But everything was slammed through because of what you're seeing nationally.
Yeah.
From Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana. That's what you're seeing here in Alabama.
Yeah.
So we was forced back into a special session. And the bill that we passed, if you notice, I call it the what if bill or a speculation bill, because the bill only talked about what if the Supreme Court does this, if the Supreme Court does that, then Alabama can revert back to the original maps that were passed in 2021 and 2023. That's what they wanted to get back to. The maps that the 3-judge panel stated were discriminatory based upon the information and the evidence in those particular cases.
Yeah. And it really, I mean, it's just caused a lot of problems. A lot of people talking on social, some folks are informed, some people are uninformed. But I think, you know, we're dealing with a community who really is living and dealing with apathy. Would y'all agree? Like, people are just apathetic, just, you know, just like, why should I vote? Why do I need to be involved? And so, you know, I really want us to take this time to just kind of talk about like these, you got federal decisions, but you and I are having this conversation around a state decision. What does this mean for local impact? What does it mean for a city council member, a county commissioner, a school board member, all the way down to the small business owner? What does this mean for Alabamians?
Well, the first issue that you have is that we're trying to dilute the black vote. We're trying to take away the black voter influence in elections, meaning that you should be able to pick the candidate of your choice, regardless of whoever their candidate may be. It's the collective being able to pick the person that they want. This right here can have a detrimental impact throughout the state, because not only will we start dealing with congressional lines, we'll start dealing with state lines, we'll start dealing with county lines, we'll start dealing with city council lines, school board lines. It can have a tremendous impact throughout the entire state. So with politics, as I tell people, this is a team sport. It really is. It also is a contact sport. For some reason, we shy away from that instead of embracing that and saying that, hey, I want to be out here speaking up, standing in here and voting. You know, it's so much propaganda, so much disinformation out on voting that is ridiculous. Every time you look around, my vote don't count. If your vote didn't matter, why do they spend so much time trying to take it away from you?
That's right.
That's the question that we need to be asking, because if it's a problem, why are they trying to take it away from you? If it doesn't count, why? Why would they tell you, why would the president tell Texas, hey, we need a new seat?
Yeah.
I need a new seat, because that's really the impetus of how all of this got started.
You're exactly right.
Based upon what he told Texas to do, and then it went on. Because they want to kind of make a disingenuous argument saying that, you know, redistricting and gerrymandering has been going on. True, it has. But you have the sitting president saying, hey, I need a new seat in Texas. And that's kind of started the domino effect with everything.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I appreciate you thoroughly explaining that. You know, I think about the communities, not only that this organization serves in, but just across the state of Alabama and across the country. And I just can't imagine representation not being at the table. And we've had some pretty egregious comments from some of our current elected officials, particularly like our Steve Marshall, former Attorney General, who says, you know, reports to a local, you know, statewide newspaper that, you know, blacks would be better represented by the GOP, right? Like, what, you know, how do we get to a place where people feel this confident to say that? You know, I don't want to be long-winded, but I just want to say, like, I genuinely I'm interested in making sure that people who look like me are informed and are equipped with information. But the Christian in me, Christ in me, says, and I'm concerned about everybody. And so how are we to get to a place where we feel like a person or a group of people don't need representation? We don't understand each other. We're not going to understand each other culturally. We're not going to be able to speak the language of one another if everybody doesn't have a seat at the table. And so, you know, it just creates so many difficulties, Representative. I mean, it really does. And it's like, you know, we're in the community, you're in the community. We're trying to figure out, how do we make sure that people are not so apathetic around, oh, it's okay, you know, it'll be all right, we're just going to let the chips fall where they may. But people don't understand how government works. and how community works in line with government, and how government makes a decision about if you are born, the government is in your business because your parents are issued a birth certificate that is provided by the state in which you live in, which is a government document.
Social Security number.
Social Security number, government document. Yeah. So we don't get to say that, you know, don't worry about it. My vote don't count, or I don't want the government in my business, or, you know, not that this is about trying to provide information, but it's also trying to deal with the urgency of now and where we are.
Yeah. It's just the audacity and the arrogance of
the
general to even make a statement like that. But they're emboldened right now.
Yes.
They believe that they can say whatever they want without any repercussions. Yeah. See, we have to provide their repercussions. We have to provide the consequences by getting out and actually voting.
Yes.
And not paying attention to all of this nonsense that goes around and centered around voting. Because again, it affects you, regardless if you want to participate in it or not. It will affect you.
Yes.
And when you're seeing these different things play out right in front of your face, it's a problem because it's not as though they're trying to hide it. It was at one point we're going to try to do it in secrecy, but now this is more technical. This is more cerebral. This is more, you know, systematic that they're really doing right now.
Yeah.
And we're not paying attention to it, and it's going to cause detrimental effects later on.
It really is. I think there are some effects right now. I know we got an audience. Y'all got any questions for us right now? Everybody looking like, comments about what we're talking about?
Our young people, when I say young, 18 to 35, we have to realize we may not have experienced what was experienced in 1965 and backwards of that. But I think we're headed way, way beyond that if we don't vote. And that's what they're counting on, is us not to vote.
Yes.
And you have individuals, as you said, that I like to feel privileged now that their president of the United States has shown his hand. It is welcoming a hard line of racism that we must look beyond the rhetoric and go vote like hell is what we got to go do.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And the thing is that 1965 is really not that long.
Right.
Look in the grand scheme of things. And we're fighting the same battles that our grandfathers, grandmothers fought, you know, great aunts, all of that. We're still fighting the same thing. So it is, you know, new Jim Crow 2.0, 3.0. But we're not really paying attention to that right now because we listen to everyone else. And we, you know, the other person that you have to deal with, if the quote unquote well-to-do person saying, why are you worried about this? It doesn't affect me. People do not complain until it shows up on their front step. And a lot of times you can hide and say that, hey, it doesn't affect me. I live in this neighborhood right here. But the ideal of politics is the sum of all. It's the collection of everyone doing better and doing well as a society. And I think a lot of times we have lost that. You know, government is designed to fight corruption. It's designed to fight the millionaires and the billionaires who are currently running everything. But we give them passes. We skip right past them saying, okay, well, you know, he's able to do this. You know, he's brilliant. He's a genius. It's all BS. You know, it's the everyday person, the everyday man, everyday woman who's getting out here working, who's doing everything they possibly can. And we should understand and start saying, this is my ally. This person is in the same situation. You live next door to me. So why are you having different views when it comes to certain issues? We should be on the same page on a lot of different things. Now, when it comes to a lot of social issues, I get it. But economic issues, we should be making a higher living wage. $7.25 is just not enough.
Yeah, that's not.
Paying $5 worth of gas is not right. Affordability is a real issue. When you're going into the grocery store trying to buy eggs and they're very expensive. We don't look at all of that stuff until it starts creeping into your front porch. But once the mouse is inside your house, it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and that's every day. That's everyday impact, the economic impact, because that's what it all comes down to. Government comes down to economics. And so those of us in leadership roles, we impact the economics of every single household, including our own. So when you talk about that, I'm thinking about, you know, what are some things that you would say to my hometown like Gadsden, or people who are listening across the world about, you know, what can I do in this moment to get engaged, to get involved, to make sure that I'm a part of the voting strategy I would contend, and I think you would too, there arose, right? You need protesters.
Yes.
You need folks who are willing to organize rallies, to raise the awareness, to make noise. You need people standing on the side of the road with a sign, telling people to honk if they're for justice. You need that. You need people who are willing to make donations.
Yes.
But then you also need people who are willing to labor. And you need people who are willing to take their brilliance and intelligence and sit in a room and strategize and organize and execute. So, and I already probably just said everything you might get ready to say, but where does one start?
Yes, and that's true. You have to look at what your local officials do. You got great local officials here, and you really want to, listen to what they're telling you in their community, because they have the pulse of the community as well. Mm-hmm. You have to organize and start strategizing on how can we get the vote out? How can we turn the vote out? What do we need to do? Which areas do we need to focus on? Yeah. Right now, there are about 619,000 voters, and throughout the state of Alabama, Black voters who don't vote at all, and they vote infrequent. We need to wake those people up and saying, look, you got to get out here and vote. Yeah. It is your constitutional right to do so. It is also your privilege to do so. But for some reason, we don't want to take that, opportunity. And it's really mind blowing, because when you think about years in the past, and I think this is the issue that we get into with this when we're talking to younger people. And we were talking about folks, die for your right to vote. A lot of times they really don't understand it because it's too remote for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have to look at it in other ways. And we had to think about what makes it relatable now.
Yeah, sure.
And so people can understand it now.
Yeah.
So people understand money. They understand economics. They understand development. They understand all of that. You need the representation that's going to, care about your area, care about your community, and build up your community. When you don't have that representation at the table, trust me, they will not be concerned about your issues.
Yeah, so true.
You got to have people in there to do that. So we need to organize. We have to be engaged on social media. We got to cut out the nonsense and start talking about more serious topics, more serious issues. When you're putting out information, take the time to read it. Understand what you're talking about, because my thing is, if an informed voter is a better voter. So now the candidates that are running, the issues they're running on, and the issues that we're facing right now.
Yeah, that's facts. That's good stuff. I think we got another question from the audience.
All right. Larry Avery, City Council Member, Gadsden, Alabama. Appreciate you all for coming to the city. I'm going to switch a little gear here and go to education and ask this question. What changes would you like to see in the Alabama public education system? And it can also be related to voter education within our school system also.
Yeah, well, so the people would know, I actually filed a bill to change teacher pay and the structure of their pay, from being paid once a month to twice a month. I think we need to start there and provide them more incentives so we can retain our teachers and attract teachers into our city. But I also think that we need to really start looking at our curriculum as a whole. We need to get back to teaching civics and government the way that it should be, not just for that half a semester, not just stick the football coach in there. We need to have a real teacher in there actually teaching the subjects and how everything needs to go, so we can become more engaged in that. I think that you remove that from the curriculum and people don't want to talk about it. So we have to kind of reimagine education as a whole and start creating more pathways for students to come out and want to do the trades and the high skill jobs, because we have to start understanding now AI and technology is coming. So we need to prepare the next generation so they can be prepared for some of these jobs, because when the people are not working, you're really going to have chaos. When you can't find a job, you're really going to have a problem. And education is the key. It's the great equalizer for a lot of things that we do. We just need to put more emphasis on it and get people to stop thinking about trying to be an influencer on social media as if that's going to pay the bills. So we need to get back to what built the middle class, what built this country, what built this society. We need to go back to it, and it starts in education.
Yeah, facts. Good stuff. Good question. Great question. So listen, y'all, we are sitting here with State Representative Ontario Tillman from District 56 out of Big Bessemer, way west from Gadsden. And I was just, as you were speaking, I was just thinking about the gratitude that I have that you would leave your district and come to another district, another community that's very dear to my heart, to educate us about what has happened at the state level. So I'm Neonta with the Advocates Chair. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Neonta. This is State Representative Ontario Tillman. We are both in Gadsden, Alabama on the east side, might I add. At This Is It's #1 barbecue, fish, and more, or more and fish and all the things. And we were still waiting to get our fingers sticky from the ribs, but we know it's coming. We know it's coming. But thank you so much, Mr. Rowe, for allowing us to use your space. Coming back in this next segment, I want you to talk about what did you get to accomplish this year at the state level?
Well, this year I actually passed 3 different bills.
3. That's major. Y'all should know that's major. Like, I keep calling him a freshman member, but he's probably like sophomore now, right?
Well,
or you?
Sophomore going into my
Okay,
second
sophomore, second term, but accomplished a lot. 3 bills.
3 bills.
Okay.
So, the first bill it actually deals with creating a designation on your driver license. So if you're a person that suffers from a medical condition, as we call invisible disabilities,
Okay.
such as autism, epilepsy, things of that nature. So now we can have in the state of Alabama where we're going to put a symbol on your license. So now if you come in contact with a first responder or anyone who has your that needs your ID and you don't respond in the manner that some believe that you should, now we kind of understand.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a symbol on the front of your license, sort of like if you wear glasses, you have like the D on the front of your license, and on the back of it, you'll see the narrative saying that you got to wear corrective lenses. That's really what it would be. So you have the symbol on the front, and then on the back of it is a epilepsy, or it says autism, something along those lines.
That's great. Why did you find that necessary to actually file a bill of that matter for the population of people?
Because I think that's a vulnerable population. I think we need to be able to protect anything that is vulnerable, and people run into situations to where they really don't respond in the manner that they should. So people need to kind of understand. We need to take all of this into account when we're dealing with people. You need to understand this person is not, they're overstimulated. This right here is really causing issues. So if they're acting out, or they act a certain way, or if they clam up, now you know. So now you can better serve and help that particular person, and also may save lives, and also may save, different injuries and things of that nature. So
that's good. Wouldn't you say that also came from you being an educator as well? Like, I don't want you to miss that. I know we've said it before, but we may have got 1 or 2 new followers that's listening to us now.
And also, I was a special education teacher.
Yes.
So I was a teacher for 10 years. So I dealt with all kinds of kids with all type of learning disabilities. So I understand it from a different lens when it comes to that. So
congratulations on that. Congratulations.
Yes.
On that bill. That's awesome.
And we have the bill deals with continuing of military cases. So if you
shout out to the veterans.
Yes, we have to make sure that we take care of our men and women who are in uniform. So this bill right here is targeting to any type of court case that you have going on. So if you are an attorney, what we call indispensable witnesses, who also is active military, and you receive orders that you have to deploy, or you may have to do something military related, then your case would be continued or it would be stayed at a particular time. And the reason why I came up with that particular concept, I had a friend of mine who's an attorney, also active military, and he said something to me about it, because he actually had orders and really couldn't get out of a case. So he called me and we talked about it, because a few states actually have that in their law. So we created that, which was a good thing for any veteran who has a pending court case.
Would that be for defendants also?
Yes, for defendants as well.
Oh wow. So, okay, I didn't realize it's for defendants also. Yeah. Okay, that's
anyone who's participating in
any court cases,
and you receive any type of orders that you have to leave, and say for instance, case is scheduled for trial on Monday, and you receive orders that you have to go for your 2-week deployment or something like that. So the case has to be continued until you complete your orders.
Wow, you would think that was common sense that would happen anyway, but it actually...
Yeah, sometimes some judges will, but I think that any type of benefit that we can give to our men and women in uniform, I think we should.
And that's also the power of law, right? Because an assumption is made that wouldn't they just do it anyway just because? I mean, it's a service member serving the country, and it's not. So the law says now you have to.
Yes, now you have
Sometimes I love the law. Sometimes I don't like it.
It could be a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And the last one is the electronic or the digital driver's license. So with today's time now, we can be able to put your digital driver's license and ID in your Apple Wallet.
Man, that's so good. Because I mean, I'm right on the cusp of still thinking I'm young, but I'm probably done already crossed over to the other side, whatever that is. But still having that hard copy of driver's license, especially with a lot of young drivers today. So that's good. So it's lawful right now.
Yeah, well, I forgot the when it goes into effect, but it was already signed.
Okay.
So it should be getting ready to go into effect pretty soon.
Okay.
And the one thing that you may leave your wallet, but you're not gonna leave your phone.
That's so true. That is so true.
You're not gonna leave your phone.
That's so true.
If you can place your ID, because you have your debit card, you have credit cards inside your Apple phone or your Android, and now you'll be able to have your ID in there as well.
Okay.
So,
that's great. That I think, again, a huge congratulations for you to be in Montgomery, like shaking things up in the State House and working bipartisan to get some things done. So congratulations on all 3 of those bills. It demonstrates that you have the ability to work across the lines, which is really important.
Yeah.
We may not, we started out talking about our voting right issues and what's at stake for us, but I believe even in advocacy space, you have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. You just got permanent issues. And so where our issues align, we should be able to work together. Were there any bills that you co-sponsored?
Well, co-sponsored a number of bills. Even the bills that I passed. Senator Marika Coleman was huge in the Senate with getting a lot of those bills passed. Same thing with Senator Smitherman.
Okay.
As well, he was able to get help, get a lot of bills across the threshold. But a ton of bills we co-sponsor.
Okay.
Because if the policy is a good policy, then it doesn't matter. Because again, the goal is to help multiple people.
Yeah.
The goal is to help as many people as you possibly can, and we need to start understanding that about politics. Period, is to help all 5 million people in the state of Alabama, except for a few. No, we need to help everyone.
That's right.
And from passing the budgets, the general fund budget, from passing the educational trust fund budget, from passing other common sense measures that really can help people, having ambulance services in rural areas. And you have a number of bills like that.
Got it. Were there any bills that passed that you were kind of on the fence about, or you think would be helpful for the public to know about? Because I mean, there's probably thousands of bills that get filed, but
they do,
only maybe a few hundred get passed, and a lot of those, they all affect us, right?
Yes, they do. They will.
Yes,
yeah, they will.
Yes.
Still pass.
Yes.
I think we had about 1,000 pieces of legislation passed.
You said 1,000?
1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like either close to like 900 or something.
Okay.
So we just have about 1,000 pieces of legislation that were actually filed. So only a certain percentage will actually get to committee, get out of committee, get to the House floor, and then also pass in the other chamber, which is the Senate chamber. So it's a lot of work trying to get a bill passed because you have different advocacy groups that you need to talk to, different stakeholders that you need to talk to. Also, to get support from your colleagues. You need to see if it's a bill that they can support, they can get behind, because that helps in the long run.
Yeah. All right. So I got to get controversial with you, and it's probably not with you, but just a conversation that's going on across social media, across the state of Alabama, really across the country. These data centers.
Yes.
Like, I think the last time you and I talked, you are a proponent of data centers.
Well, no, it's not necessarily a proponent of it.
Talk to us about it then.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to put you out there like that.
Yeah, not necessarily. It's sort of like with the data centers. I'm on the side of the people, and I think that the people who do not want data centers in their community or in their yard, I'm with that.
Okay.
I'm actually drafting legislation. We're working on legislation now to kind of address some of those issues.
Okay.
I had a bill that was drafted, which I'm still kind of working on right now, that will make people, if you want to bring a data center into our community, you need to look at brownfields first. Brownfields are areas that already had construction there, already had buildings there, like you have an old welding plant, a laundromat, something around that scale. Look at those areas first, to repurpose those areas, and then try to get rid of the eyesore and then put the data center there, because something was already there in the past, instead of you going to someone's neighborhood where you got green fields and you're going in there and creating a brownfield with that. So
Got it. That
I'm
makes
more
sense.
so targeting with whatever the people want, because they live there each and every day. So how can we just come in and say that we need to do something, counter against what they want.
Got it.
So I think that we need to start engaging the people more in these type of conversations, especially when you're talking about it's something that's going to affect their daily living, so you need to talk with them more. You need to engage the community more and get their perspective on it. That's if you're going to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And now we can have this robust conversation where you can speak your piece and you can tell me how you feel about it, and then we can make the decision from there. But also trying to come up with like a data center act, and we're working on that right now.
So that's good. That's a great explanation. And I think my last question around it is, can you just tell what is a data center? Like, what is a data center?
Yeah, it really is a almost like, what do you call it, a warehouse for computers and information technology. So you have it depends, because you got different sizes. You got an AI data center, you got smaller ones, you got larger ones. So it's really there to kind of collect information and data that we use. And you're seeing a lot of big tech people push it, Apple, Google, Facebook. So you start seeing that being the norm across the country.
Yeah.
And that's what you're starting to see pop up in a lot of different places.
So does it, I mean, unless you are, and I said that was the last question, but it's not now, you got me going. So unless you are someone who is in a career path of like technology, IT or something like that, does it create jobs for communities or?
Potentially it can.
Okay.
It can create jobs, as well as can provide incentives to have the data centers there, as well as the income, the taxes, all of that can support the data center. So, but right now, it is very controversial to deal with data centers. They're popping up in a lot of different areas, and people really are not too thrilled about it.
Yeah.
I can understand the people position on this, but we do need to engage the community once we are doing something that's going to affect the community.
I think what you just shared is just so important. Because again, just talking about governance and how it works, right? So if you have a city council and a mayor or a commission that is working collectively to say this is something that we want to have in our city, like what are those, if we're giving tax breaks, what does that look like? And then also, what are those tax benefits? And then have we done a needs assessment for what our community needs? So it's got to be an exchange, right? So if you're going to bring the kind of like when Amazon comes into a community, when they were growing everywhere, it's like, what is the exchange? We give you a tax break, but then what percentage are you going to employ out of this community? What are you going to do to also advance this community that you're coming to live in? So I really appreciate that. Are there questions from the audience for Representative Tillman around this, or is something else you want to say?
No, I was going to say, I agree with you. And my rule of thumb is you always want to stand on the side of the people, because that's who you are beholden to.
That's right.
Those are the voters. Those are the people that put you in the office. I'm beholden to the people of District 56 first. And if I have any issues, I have to go to them. We got to have town halls. We got to have these different discussions, and we need to put everything on the table. And it needs to be transparent. So they need to know fully everything that's going to happen. So, because I don't want you walking up to me saying, well, you didn't tell me this. No, I take that serious. So I want you to know, and I'm always going to stand with the people on any issue, because that's who you're supposed to stand with.
That's good. All right, let's go.
Representative Tillman, I applaud you for standing with the people, but those data centers, we were approached, and I engaged in conversation. It's enticing. It is. It's lucrative, possibly, for the property owner, or if you own the structure. But it is a major impact to our environment.
It is.
And that's where I think the kickback is coming, because it takes a lot of water to cool those routers. And I say, in rural areas that land is undeveloped, you put them there, but it's still going to deplete the rivers.
Yes.
But if you drill wells to these data centers, I think it will less impact the municipal water flows and that nature. And power, it takes a lot of power.
That's what I was going to mention, power.
A lot of power. But I'm not against data centers per se, but I think we need to look at it a little more, because they are on the rise with AI.
Yes.
And they're moving quickly, just like AI. We can't get our heads wrapped around it. It's moving so fast.
Yes. But I agree with you.
But I think if one of one of the requirements, if you want to come in my neighborhood, you got to dig your own deep well, and go to the aquifer and get your water, and not out of the river.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because some of the language that we're going to place in our bill is to make it more self-sufficient. Like, it has to be self-sustaining in and of itself, instead of, siphoning off the resources from the community and making the water, like you said, taking the water resources, taking the power resources away, increasing people different power bills, which can be an issue. And that's why when you're going to bring them into the community, you got to talk with the community. You have to let the community know what is going on, the scale of it, what it actually is doing, the incentives, and what can be potential problems, and now have the community to help make your decision or vote on whether or not we need them here. Because you're right, they're coming, but I think you got to roll it out in the right way. And as long as the people, and you inform the people and they are engaged on the topic, then it's okay for you to bring it out, because they know it's coming and they are aware of it, and you allow them to voice their opinions. And by being a democracy, you vote it out. So the majority of the people want it, we don't. You can deal with that a lot better than me coming and saying, we just gonna put this right here and there's nothing that we can do about it. So I think that's how we need to go about doing it.
Right. It's a great way to end this conversation. Listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us, for meeting me here in Gadsden, meeting the team here in Gadsden, so that we could get this work done and make sure we get our voices out. It's been a great legislative year. It's been a roller coaster legislative year. And I think that we've been prepped for what is to come. There is more to come. We've got to get people out to vote. We've got to get people educated. We've got to get people informed. We got to get people empowered to be a part of this electoral process. We can't just say democracy is on the line and people don't really understand what democracy means, but democracy means economics. And so your livelihood, the safety, all the things that people feel, it equates to that. So again, thank you for your work that you've done. Congratulations on not having an opponent when you're in seeking your second term. So long-term elections, general elections, November the 3rd. We actually have an election in the state of Alabama on June 16th, which is a week from today, a runoff election from primary. And then we're going to have a special election for congressional seats, August the 11th. So a lot of elections taking place more often than we've had in the state. So you close us out. What you got?
They deal with, the election on August the 11th deal with District 1, 2, 6, and 7.
Correct.
So please come back out and vote, and try to inform other people, bring other people out to vote with you, so people can come to the polls. And we really do need to do that.
Yep. Well, guys, I'm Neonta. We are here. Thank you again to Mr. Wayne Rowe, the owner of This Is It, #1 barbecue, fish, and more. I'm trying to add all kind of stuff because I would like to have it all. Really appreciate you all tuning in. If you are not subscribed to the Advocates Chair, please do so either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple or Spotify. So thank you, and cheers to the chair.